Please, now introducing Tessa Luann Copestick.
That's not my middle name, but you got it in there.
Persuading us to foster an infant or child or animal or child.
James 1:26 and 27 says, "If you claim to be religious, but don't control your tongue, you're fooling yourself, and your religion is worthless. Pure and genuine religion in the sight of God means caring for orphans and widows in their distress and refusing to let the world corrupt you." So we as Christians have been called to care for the orphans and the widows. This means that each and every one of us has been called to take care of the least and the lost, to take care of those who don't have parents in this world. Because one, God, our Heavenly Father, has said that He is father to the fatherless, but we are called to act in His place on this earth. You may not feel like you have a conviction to necessarily foster a child, but let me tell you this, you don't need a conviction to complete a calling.
Amen.
And as Christians, it is our calling, not some of us, but all of us. It is our calling to show Christ's love to the least and the lost, those being orphans. There are a lot of problems with the foster care system, but so many of them could be fixed if more people were willing to help out. So, the main point of this is more people need to be willing to foster children and be involved in the foster care system in other ways. Because what a lot of people don't know is that fostering a child is not the only way to get involved with the foster care system. But let me tell you this, there are 348,000 churches in America. On any given day, there is an average of 400,000 children in the foster care system. That averages out to 1.15 families from every church fostering one child, and there would not be a single child in the foster care system. How do we still have children who don't have a home? I can't tell you how many infants there are who sleep in social workers' offices every single night because there's not a family willing to foster them. As the church, we should see this as unacceptable. Every family does not need to be a foster family. 1.15 families from every church in America, and all of the orphaned children in our country would have a loving home. How have we not gotten there yet? A lot of people like to counter this argument with, not everybody's fit to be a foster parent. Let me tell you, that's true. My parents recently became foster parents. We're on track to adopting a 10-year-old little boy. Let me tell you, some days are really hard. A lot of days are filled with tantrums and you're mean and I want to go back to my old family. But there are so many rewarding days where you see this child grow from where they were yesterday, let alone 2 months ago. I have seen a 10-year-old little boy transition from a child who wouldn't talk about things to a child opening up about his past and his abuse. Opening up to my parents about something he wouldn't talk to his therapist about a few months ago. Being a foster parent is emotionally taxing, it's time-consuming, and it costs a lot of money. A lot of people don't expect that, but it does. These things aren't meant to deter you from fostering a child, but I don't want to lie to you. It's not an easy process, but the rewards are so worth it. And a lot of people think the only way to get involved in foster care is to foster a child. That's not at all true. Project 127 lists 5 ways that you can get involved in being in the foster care system without fostering a child. Just one straight off is financially supporting a foster family. That's one thing that stops a lot of families. They can't afford the classes, or they can't afford to get babysitters for the classes that they have to go to. It's a lot of financial responsibility to keep up with all the requirements of having a foster child in your house. There's a lot of safety restrictions that sometimes don't make sense, but they're there for a reason. They're not the easiest to keep up with, and they're not the most inexpensive. So a lot of people, when they see that list, they turn away. Another thing you can do is start a church support group. Not only for church members who are fostering, but people in your community. Because a lot of people think, this is something that I'm going to go through on my own. But you don't have to. It's easy once you're in an organization and you have an agency, it's easier to know where other foster families are, but they're going through all the same things as you, so they're not always going to be willing to be there and be like, it's okay, it's not that hard, because they know just how hard it is. So as people who maybe don't have foster children, you need to provide them with a community of people to be like, hey, it's okay, you're going to get through this. You can mentor a child. I know personally mentorship is a big thing. And from any perspective, I've had a really great life, and mentoring has changed my life a whole bunch. Imagine a child who's maybe never felt love before. Mentoring them and speaking life into them as a Christian man or woman of God, just telling a child, you are loved. The impact that has on a life, you can't measure that. Those are just 3 of the 5 ways that Project 127 lists, but those are available online if you wanted to go look at them. One of the biggest problems in the foster care system is there just aren't enough people. We don't need every church member to go foster 5 kids. But if 2 families from all the churches in America said, yeah, I'll foster a child, there would never be a child in the foster care system again. Yes, it is emotionally taxing, it is time consuming, and it is a large financial responsibility, but the rewards are exponentially more than anything you will put into it. And you don't have to be a foster parent to invest in the foster care system. There are so many ways you can do that without ever bringing a child into your family. But don't just take my word for it. I challenge you, if any of this has pulled on a heartstring, has made you curious, research it yourself. Maybe you don't think right now being a foster parent is fit for you. Maybe you're thinking in the future, but there are things you can do now that will impact a child's life more than you could ever know. So my challenge today is for you to find a way that you can get involved now and start doing that.